In this video, we will create application that will display some data with pagination, filtering and sorting. I already have created this type of video where we are using the .NET Core Web API application and we are retrieving some data with filtering, sorting and pagination. But there we have used the Entity Framework Core. But now here we will not use Entity Framework Core, rather than we will use Dapper here, and we will retrieve the data with the help of stored procedure. So in this project we are going to learn about the stored procedure, how we can create this type of complex stored procedure and how you can connect that stored procedure with your C# application. So that's we are going to do in this project. If you find this video helpful, then hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe this channel to get more videos like this. Without a further ado, let's get started. Now I am inside the SQL Server Management Studio, and here I have a database named book100, and here I have a table named book. And let me show you the design of the table. So here we have these fields: ID, which is a primary key, and identity. Next one is author, and it is an varchar 100 and it allows null. Then we have country and varchar 100, image link 100 and varchar 100, language and varchar 20, link and varchar 200, pages int, title int, year int and price int. Sorry, title was and varchar 100. And except the ID, every field is nullable, and I won't recommend you to make these fields nullable. So you can change it to allow not nulls if you want. Let me show you the data of the table. So I already have entered these 100 records, and actually these are 106 records, and yeah, few of these entries are duplicate. That doesn't matter. The main thing is we need to paginate and filter this book data. So I have created a stored procedure for it. So I'm going to go here, the programmability section, and here I have created this stored procedure named get books, and here we can see its definition. It's a definition and it's a pretty large query, so we will break it down so that it can be easily understand. So I'm going to open a new tab here. Just type here select asterisk from book. That's it, and it will return us all the books. So what if I want to fetch 10 records only and want to apply some pagination? So for that we need to write first order by ID, and without doing order by we cannot use offset and fetch. Now we can apply offset 0 rows and fetch next 10 rows only. FETCH. Okay, now we are good, I guess. So yeah, you can see that now we have retrieved the first 10 records from the database. So let me explain what is this offset and what is this fetch next 10 records only. So it is the number of records you want to fetch. So I want to fetch 10 records every time, and this value will be constant. And here offset says that how many records you want to skip. Okay, so when page is 1, then we will skip 10 records. So initially we will skip 0 records. Sorry, it was not 10 records, it was 0 records. So initially we will skip 0 records and we will take 10 records. Then if we move to the page 2, then we have to skip first 10 records, and this one will be a constant, so it will always be a 10. So let's execute it, and you will see that now we are taking the data from 11 to 20, and in the third page we have to skip 20 records and we will fetch 10 records. Oops. So let's execute it, and that's it. So right now we are doing it without any dynamic variable, so these things are just constants here. So let's see how we can define a variable for it. So first of all, we'll define here a page int equals to 10, and yeah, of course we need to define declare here. Declare limit, it means how many records you want to fetch. So I want to fetch 10 records and page will be 1. So it is a current page and it is the page limit. Now here, how to calculate offset? First let me define here is limit. Okay, now we need to calculate this offset. So let's see how we can calculate it. So I have some calculation here. When page equals to 1, then we will skip 0 records and we will take 10 records, and this 10 will be constant. So in the page 1 we will skip 0 records. So how this 0 is getting calculated? So it is the formula page minus 1 into limit. So that is 1, because page is 1 here. 1 minus 1 into 10. 10 is the limit here. So initially we will skip 0 records, then move to the page 2, and here we will skip 10 records. And how this 10 is getting calculated? The page minus 1 into limit equals to 2 minus 1 into 10. So page is 2 minus 1, which is 1, then into 10 equals to 10. If page is 3, then 3 minus 1 into 10, it means 2 into 10 equals to 20, and this thing will be constant. So we will apply this formula here. So it will be page minus 1 into limit. So now we can calculate these things dynamically. So page minus 1 into limit. Oops, it is at the red limit. Now that's good. So when page is 1, then we are fetching records from 1 to 10, and 2, then we are fetching records from 11 to 20, and on page 3, 21 to 30, and so on. So this is how our pagination works. So this one is about the pagination. Now we will see how we can filter the records. Okay, so I'm gonna go into next page here. So first of all, let's define here a variable declare, and let's name declare @search term equals to, initially it will be null, so I'm going to take it and varchar 100 equals to null. So its default value is null. Right now let's define a select query here, select asterisk from book, where either a search term is null, it means this is optional. So either search term is null or title like, and title like something this, and here oops, it should be here, and yeah, we are good. And here we can easily define a search term. That's it. Now let's execute it, and we're going to get all the records, because this parameter, actually it is not a parameter, this search term is null. So if I define here tail, then it will search this term in the title column. So let's execute it, and you can see that we are getting all the data that contains title tails. So here tails, the tail of Genji, tails, and we can also filter it with author. So we can just copy this thing from here. I'm not going to type it again and again. So let's just copy this guy and paste it here. Okay, so we are comparing search term with author and title column. So it will be the same. Oops. Okay, it will be the same. So let's search here MIC. Let's see here. You can see that it will search this MIC term in the column author and title. So it did not find any title that contains MIC, but it have find a row that contains author with term MIC. Here you can see MICHEL, Michael. So Michael, whatever it is. So it contains MIC. That's how we can filter our records. Now let's move to the another filter. So I'm gonna delete this one, because otherwise it will become more complicated. So if I type here the language and just make it English, oops, INGLISH, books where language now we are good, because it is a keyword, so that's why we have to use these brackets here. Language like percent and plus plus at the rate language. So if we search this thing, then you can see it has returned all the book with language English. So here we have comma separated value, that's why it is also searching the English here. Now what if I search it with Hindi? Let's search it, and here we have these records. That's good. If I type here the Sanskrit, then we have few records. What if I type here English, sorry, let's search it in Italian. Let's see, do we have book in Italian language? Yeah, we have. If I search here, I need a book with English and Italian, so we cannot do it. So how we can search our books with multiple language? For that we have a very special method, which is called, where it is, string split. So this method, what does this method do? Let me explain. Just wait a minute. So this string split method will convert this comma separated value into a table, so, or a set of rows. Then let's see what will happen. Language, select asterisk from string split language. Oops, the problem is here that I am not defining any delimiter here. So comma is our delimiter because we are separating our strings with comma. So I have defined a comma here. Now let's execute it, and you can see that it has converted this string into rows. Now why do we need it? We need it because we want to search our book with multiple languages. So what we will do here, where language like, and we will define a subquery here. So oops, what I have done wrong. Yeah, we cannot define a like here, we have to define in. So select asterisk from book where language in, and here we will define our subquery. So you can see that we have books with language English and Italian. So if I just type here Italian and Spanish and French, then you can see we have multiple books with Italian, French, Italian, Spanish. So this is how we can fetch records with multiple languages. Now the last thing is remained here is sort column and sort direction. So how we can do it? So first of all, let's remove this guy, and let's copy these two columns from here, and let's assume that by default our sort column is ID and sort direction is ascending. Okay, now we need to sort it by ID. By default we can do it like this, order by ID, and that is perfectly fine, but these value will come from the stored procedure, so we need to define it. So let's look here and let's copy these things and just paste them here. Let's remove this guy, and I guess we are okay. So how we are sorting our records? So we are just using a normal case when then, it is just like a switch case in programming. So when our sort column is ID and sort direction is ascending, then it will return ID. If sort column is ID, sort direction descending, then it will return ID by descending order. If sort column is title, sort direction is ascending, then it will return title, and by default it is ascending, so we do not need to write here ASC. So if title is sort column and descending is sort direction, then it will return title DSC. It means select asterisk from book, order by, then title DSC, and this next line will be the same as the previous ones. So that's how we can sort all the records. So I hope I have break down these queries little by little, and now we have merged all the queries here that I have explained earlier. And one more thing, this stored procedure is returning two result sets. So first it will return the list of book, and then it will return the total records. And here I have defined pagination, but here we do not need to define pagination. We need all the records from the database and along with filter. So we will apply filter here, but we will not apply a pagination here. So here it's our procedure, and we will define create when you are going to create this store procedure. So it is just altered because I have already created it. Now it will have few parameters: page int id equals page int equals to 1. It means default value of page will be 1, then limit, and its default value is 10, and languages, and it will be an varchar 200. Its default value will be null. Next one is search term and varchar 40. Its default value is null. Sort column and varchar 30 id and default value id. Next one sort direction and varchar 30, default value is asc. So you can see that all of these parameters are optional. So if you do not pass any parameters here, it will take all these default values. So you can fetch the books without any parameter. So if you do not pass any parameter, what will happen? So let me show you here. exec sp get books. So here I haven't passed any parameter. So by default it will take page 1 and limit 10, so it will return 10 records. Okay, so if I define here page equals to 2, then it will return from 11 to 20 10 records, and it will return another result set 106 records and 11 pages. Okay, now if I type here limit equals to 50, then and page equals to 1, then you can see that it has written 50 records and it will create 3 pages. Okay, now if I define it 100 records, then here you can see that it has written 100 records 1 to 100, and total records will be 106, and total pages will be 2. If I type here search term equals to tail, then here you can see that it has written 4 records only, so that's why total records will be 4 and total pages will be 1. So we need to calculate total pages here. So I'm gonna go here. Let's look into the second result set. Here we are just selecting count id from total. Select count id as total records from book. So we are selecting we are counting all the IDs from the table book, and we are using this where clause here so that we can filter our records. So we are filtering it by search term with title and author column, then languages. That's it. So we have applied 2 filters here, search term and languages, and we are going to select all the counts from this table along with filter, and here we are calculating the total pages. So here it is the formula for that. It will be total records and into 1.0. we are converting it into floating points. That's why I am multiplying it with 1.0 so that we can convert it into a decimal value. So formula is simple. That let me show you here what is the formula for calculating total pages. So if we have 100 records, okay, total, if we have 100 records, okay, and we need to display limit, we need to display 10 records per page. So how many pages we will get? So we will simply divide it by 10 equals to simply 10. What if we have 101 pages? So what if we will have 101 records? So if I just type here select 100 by 10, what will happen? Let's see. If I just type here select 100 by 10, then it is 10. Okay, if 101 by 10, then it is again 10, but it should be 11. In the case of pagination, it should return 11. So that's why we are using this ceiling function here. It will not work because it is expecting us to decimal value. So here you can see that now it is returning 11, that is expected, and this is a decimal value. So by default it will return a decimal value. So we are converting this 11 into a integer. That's why we are using a cast here. By default, not by default, because we are using ceiling here and we have multiplied it with 1.0. So then SQL Server is considering it as a decimal value, and we do not want to return a decimal value because it is a pure integer and we have to convert it into a integer. So we are using cast function for that. It will convert it into a integer value. So this second query is just returning the total, what it is, total records and total pages. And this is the query that I have breakdown earlier. We're just selecting book with these filters that I have discussed earlier, and then we are sorting it by these orders. That's the simple thing. And here we are applying the pagination, and it is the second result set. We are returning total number of pages and total number of records from the database along with these filters. So this filter and this filter are same. So yeah, we are defining it in the two places, here and here. These two are the same. So that is our get books function. Let me close this guy. Okay, here we have some other function, some other stored procedure. This one is for adding book, so it will take all the parameters, author, country, image link, etc, etc. And here we have this output parameter. So all of these are input parameter and this one is the output parameter. And why we are using it, let me explain you. Here we are just using the query insert into book, and we are inserting these parameters: author, country, image link, language link, pages, and title, year, and price. Now here we want to return recently created identity value. It means we want to return what is the recently created ID. So we can get it with the scope identity. It will return the recently created identity value at the current scope. So right now we have 106 record, and if I enter a new record in the database, it will return the 107. If I return one record, if I create one record again, then it will return 108. And if I create one more record again, it will return 109. So that's why we are using the output parameter here, so that we can return this value to our front end or to a C# project where we are using this stored procedure. Okay, and let's see this one is just a simple, we are accepting id as a parameter, and we are deleting the records on the base of id. And here this one we are just getting the book on the basis of id, so it will return one record from the database. This one is languages, and here we want to retrieve all the languages, so we are using here select distinct language from book, and it will return all the languages from the database. Let's just see. So here you can see all the languages. Okay, now last one is update book, and here we have all the input parameters and no output parameters because I do not want to return anything from here. So it is just update query, that's it, nothing fancy. Okay, so I will provide you this database script, so do not worry about it. There is one more thing that I want to say, and that is here in the book section we have these indexes. So I have created multiple indexes here, and those are non-clustered indexes. So I have defined it on the column author, language and title, because we are searching records on the basis of title, language and author. That's why I have defined a non-cluster index here, so that I can make searching little bit more faster. That's it. That's all about the SQL part. So in the further part we will see how we can connect this database to our C# backend application. And before that I just want to show you that it is my server name. So this server name I'm going to use as a server in my connection string. Okay, so now let's move to the application part, and we will move to the Visual Studio now. Right now we are inside the Visual Studio. I already have written all the code, so I will just walk you through this application and show all the necessary steps. So first of all, we have these two applications here. First one is book100.api, and it is a web API application, which is a controller based web APIs. And second one is our class library, C# class library, and here we have defined all the business logic. So first of all, you have to create these two applications, and then you need to add the reference of book100.data to the book100.api. so just right click here, add, and somewhere you will find project reference. Okay, then you have to check this checkbox and click on OK, and it will add a reference of this project, nothing more. And after that, here inside the app setting.json you have to define a connection string, and I have named its key default, and here it is the value. So server equals to name of my SQL Server instance. Next one is database, that was book100, integrated security true, and encrypt equals to false. After defining the connection string, we need to figure out how to connect to the database. We have two options here. Either we can use Entity Framework Core, or you can use Dapper. I'm gonna go with Dapper. So for that, just right click here and click on Manage NuGet Packages, and here you need to search a package named Dapper and install this package. I already have installed this package, so install Dapper, and you also need to install few more packages. The second package you need to install here is this one, microsoft.data.sql client, and the next package you need to install microsoft.extensions.configuration.abstractions. You need this package for accessing the data from this appsetting.json file. So to access the data from this file, you need to install this package, and we need to access this data, the value of connection string, in the project book100.data. So we need to install these three packages. So you need to install these three packages in the book100.data project. So first package is dapper, second package is this one, and third package is this one. So go and install these packages. I will provide you the whole project, so do not worry about the coding portion. Just watch what am I doing and just understand the concepts. Now after that, you have to create few classes. First class will be our book, and it is a representation of our database table, which is book also, and we have to define these fields: id, author, country, image link, language link, pages, and etc etc. So we need to define these properties inside the book class. Okay, after that we have to create this book result class, and we need it for returning the book result. So our class will be book result. Inside that we have this enumerable books. It will return a list of books, and here we will have this property pagination data, which is a type of pagination data, and that is defined here, which is a type of record. You can create a class, but yeah, I've gone with a record instead of class, and it doesn't make any difference if you use class here. So it is not necessary to use record. You can also make a class here with the name pagination data. It's totally up to you. So after that, we need to create one more class here, which is status model, and it will be used for returning data to the user. So it will have two properties. First one is status code, which is a type of integer. Second one is a message, which is a type of string. Okay, so we are done with our models. So after that, you need to create this folder repositories, and here we will write our business logic. So first repository, first thing you have to create, either you can create a repository first, or you can create this interface first. So and this is our interface, which contains this method task, and which is a type of book result, get books async, and it will take these parameters: int page, int limit, search term, which is a nullable, languages, which is also a nullable, sort column also nullable, and sort direction also nullable. Okay, now we need to implement this repository here. So when you define this class book repository, make sure to inherit this iBook repository interface here. After that, here we are defining these two private fields: private read only iConfiguration config. With the help of this, we will access the value of connection string that we have defined here, appsetting.json file, inside the appsetting.json file. Okay, oops, I have closed it accidentally, sorry for that. Okay, now we are fine. So, and when you write this line, you need to add this line here: microsoft.extensions.configuration. That's why we have installed this package, so that we can access our appsetting.json file here. After that, here we are just creating a private read only string, connection string, and here we will store our connection string. Next thing, here it is our constructor book repository, and here we are defining iConfiguration config, and nothing fancy, just assigning the value of config to underscore config. Here we are storing a connection string in this in this field, and we will get connection string from our config.get connection string method, and name of our connection string was default, which you can see I have defined here. Its name is default. So if its name was con or connection, something like that, then you have to define that name here. So make sure that this name and this name will be same. So this method will return us the whole connection string. Okay, now let's go to our method here. Let's go to this book async get books async method. So in the first line you are seeing that we are using here a keyword name using, and it will automatically manage the disposing the connection. So here we will open the connection and we need to close it and dispose it. That thing will automatically handled by this using keyword. So that's why we are using it using idb connection, and here new SQL connection string. Okay, and when you write this method new SQL connection, you need to add this line here, microsoft.data.sql client, and you also need to add this package here using dapper, this namespace using dapper. Okay, now here, since our stored procedure is returning multiple result sets, one result set is returning a list of books and second one is returning the total pages and total records. So we are retrieving basically two record set or result set, whatever we say it is. So that's why we are using this query multiple async method here. So using var multi equals to await connection dot query multiple async, and here we will define the name of our stored procedure as get async. After that, new page, then here we will pass the anonymous object with these values. So we are going to pass the page limit, language, search term, sort column, or sort direction, and here we need to define our command type, which is command type dot stored procedure. Now here this await multi dot read async book, with this line we will retrieve our books, and with this line we will retrieve our pagination data, and here we will return a new object of book result, and we will assign books equals to books, which we have retrieved here, and pagination data equals to pagination data that we have retrieved here. Okay, so we are fine. Now you need to define dependency injection. So for that, we are going to inject this iBook repository to our controller. So that's why we need to define some configuration here in the program.cs file. And for that, what you have to do, you have to add this line builder.services.add transient iBook repository, book repository, and here it is these are the parentheses. Okay, here this line, and I'm using this line because I want to enable CORS. So if you don't know what CORS is, it allows us to make cross origin request. So I think if you don't know about it, just go and Google about it. Okay, now here we are just making that our web APIs are accessible everywhere. That's why I'm using star or asterisk here. So if you want to access these web APIs with some specific domain, so do not define star here, just type the name of that domain here, and it will allow any method and any header. So that was just a CORS configuration, nothing more fancy. Okay, so we are done with our configuration. Now we are done with our book100.data class, data project. Now we can move here in the controller section, and here you need to create a book controller, and here we are defining this route API slash books. So our route will be started with API slash books. After that, here we will define our controller, and actually it is a boilerplate code, so you do not need to define it. Here we will define few private field. So private read only, iBook repository book repo, and here I am using a logger of Microsoft, so it is a by default logger. I am not using any external logger, so it is just a default logger. So private read only logger book controller equals to controller, and here we are assigning these value. It is just a basic step. I hope you know about it. Now here we have this http get, then we have this controller method, and which is type of http get. It will be a type of ixn result, name is get books, and here we will pass these parameters, and all of these parameters are optional. So this one is nullable, this one also nullable, 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 and here we have int page and limit equals to 10, page equals to 1. So by default value will be 1 and 10. So by default we will fetch 10 records with page number 1. Here we will just call the repository method. So var book equals to await book repo dot get book async, and here we will provide all the parameters that we are retrieving, getting here, or receiving here. Receiving will be more appropriate word. Okay, so if we are successful, then we will return okay, and inside the catch block we will just log the error, and we will return this status codes dot status 500 internal server error new status model, and here we are just returning a status code and some error message. That is pretty generic state or error message. You can use some specific error messages if you want. Okay, so we are done here. So let's run this application and let's see how it is working. So here we have successfully executed our application. Now you can just click on this try out, and let's do not pass any parameters. So let's execute it, and let's see. Yeah, here we are getting the 10 records by default, and here we have total records equals to 106. You can see it here, total records 106, total pages 11. Okay, so that's good. So let's define here something like I need 50 records per page. So let's see what it will do. Here you can see we have lots of data now. So in the end you will see that total records are the same 106, and total pages will be there. That is totally fine, because 50 50 and third page will be 6. So in the first page we will have 50, in the second page we will have 50, and the remaining records will be moved to the third page. So that's why we will have 3 pages. So our pagination is working fine. Now here you can search it with some search term. So let's search here tails, and let's execute it, and you will see that we have some data that contains the tail either in the title or in author. So you can see that we have this title fairy tales, the Canterbury Tales, something like this. Okay, and total records will be 3 and total pages will be 1. Okay, now let's remove this guy and let's search it with languages. So let's search with Sanskrit. Let's see how many books do we have in Sanskrit and Italian. So here you can see the results. We have this book Dante, whatever it is, the Divine Comedy, it is Italian, and here also language Italian, and here language Sanskrit, language Italian, and here Ramayana, which is Sanskrit, and here Mahabharata, which is also written in Sanskrit. So okay, that's pretty well. And okay, so we need to test one more thing, which is sorting. So let's sort it by title, and let's define here DSC, execute it, and you can see that we have retrieved record with the title and within a descending order. So let's define here page limit 200, and let's see what will happen. So here the first book will have ID n, then with n, sorry, oops, here title. So first record is with started with Zorba with Z, then Wuthering Height, then again W, then again U, and so on. Okay, so let's search it with author. Okay, so you can see that here author Y, then W, oh, lots of William Shakespeare, now William Faulkner, etc, etc. So we have successfully tested our web APIs, and I hope those are working fine. If you find any issue here, please let me know. I would like to correct it, and I would like to correct it in the repository. And one more thing I want to show you here. So I have created this branch specifically for the YouTube purpose. So it only contains the get books method. So if you go here and click on this section, you will see that we have two branches, books and master. So if you have cloned this application, you can find the two branches. So you need to worry about only books branch. So here you will get all the things you will need, but if you want to access more things, you can go to the master branch, and in the master branch you will see that I have defined multiple methods. So here I have defined all the CRUD operations, and I have created a front-end application with Angular and tested this back-end application. So I can show you here visually how the things are going on. So here, as you can see, that we are getting 10 records at the time, and here if I select it to 100, then you will see that I am getting 100 records, and in the next page I am getting these records. So wait a minute. Okay, let's change it to 10 again, and here let's search it with few things like tail. Okay, so we are getting the title tails here. So if I search here with MIC, then you'll see that I am getting a record with author that contains MIC, Mikhail or Misael, I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, so our searching is working fine. So let's write here a language filter. So let's filter it with Arabic and Danish. Okay, and let's add another language here. It is Greek. You can see we have now a few more books. So our language filter is also working fine. Okay, so now let's sort it here. So if I click on this, you can see I am sorting the records. So here we are sorting it with descending order. So let's sort it by author, and you can see sorting is working fine. Let's sort it with language. So yeah, now you can see sorting is working fine. So it is a visual representation of our backend that I have created with .NET Core and SQL Server. That's it for now. See you next time.